There are many ways in which you can recycle organic waste, but the most common is composting, which typically refers to aerobic decomposition, such as your traditional manure heap. However, there is an alternative, anaerobic decomposition, or fermentation, which is similar to your silage pit. This is a process in which microbes feed on organic matter without the presence of oxygen. This process doesn't generate any heat and almost no carbon dioxide is released, creating a stable, nutrient-dense, pre-digested food for the soil with no carbon footprint. We can take this process further, also known as Bokashi treatment, the Japanese word for well-fermented organic matter. Bokashi compost is an energy-efficient way of breaking down waste organic matter for soil application. Effective microorganisms are added to the organic matter and work by way of competitive exclusion, creating an environment in which fermented anaerobic microbes can dominate. It is this dominance of anaerobic microbes that lead to the breakdown of organic matter. More specifically, complex organic substances into similar soluble ones. The microbes also produce bioactive substances such as enzymes, vitamins and antimicrobials, and which favours the development of plants and helps prevent diseases. The practice of Bokashi is believed to have its earliest roots in ancient Korea. A modernised horticultural method called Korean natural farming includes fermentation by indigenous microorganisms harvested locally, but has numerous other elements too. A commercial Japanese Bokashi method was developed in 1982 and became the best known form of Bokashi worldwide, mainly in household use, claiming to have reached over 120 countries. Fermentative decomposition not only breaks down fibrous materials in as little as 8 weeks, it does so while retaining available nutrients in the manure. Nutrients that would normally be released into the atmosphere as harmful emissions during traditional aerobic composting. Here's Gareth Davis of Gareth's Grassland Advisory Service to explain more about the process of Bokashi.
And Bokashi basically is a form of anaerobic composting as opposed to the traditional aerobic composting. So the idea and the principles behind it is the fact that you apply effective microbial bacteria to your farmyard manure in the shed, and you can do that either with a knapsack sprayer or with a watering can and sprinkler. And once you've applied the effective bacteria, then you apply a seashell product then for stabilizing the pH. So once you've applied the product, you then empty the shed out and you sort of ensile it basically. So you make a dung heap, for want of a better description, and then you cover that dung heap then with a plastic sheet as you would with silage, and just weigh it down to make sure it doesn't blow away and to get out as much of the air as possible. Because the whole principle behind the Bokashi is the fact that it's an anaerobic procedure as opposed to an aerobic procedure. So with traditional composting, that's an aerobic sort of method. So you get it generates a lot of heat, and as a result of that heat is you are losing nutrient and letting off carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Whereas with the anaerobic, you're taking out the heating element by sealing it, and then the bacteria and microbes then can do their job with the product, and then you end up, in comparison to traditional composting, you end up with a product that has got far higher organic matter, which by default then will give you a far higher carbon level, and a far higher carbon to nitrogen level in the actual composting pile itself. And just as importantly, these days it'll retain a greater percentage of the nitrogen because you haven't had the effects of the weather on your stockpile basically.
There are already numerous countries practicing Bokashi on a larger scale, such as Belgium, France, Sweden, Japan and Germany. These footages are from the Netherlands, showing the process carried out on a larger scale. The manures run through mixers similar to mixer wagons, where liquid microorganisms, seashell grit and clay minerals are all added in together, before being rolled into a tight heap and covered with a plastic.
And I'm here today with Rheinald Harris from Llwynmendy farm near Llandilo. The aim is to look at the correlation between worm counts and soil health. The second part of the project will be looking at the process of Bokashi.
I'm Rheinald Harris. We farm here in Llwynmendy farm, Bethlehem. We have 170 spring calving dairy cows. The reason we decided to do this project with Farming Connect was we have most of our farm manure or slurry muck is through the slurry form, but we have a calving pen, a calving shed, which is loose housed, and we thought we'd try and find ways to utilise this muck or valuable commodity better. The reasons for trying the Bokashi then is to try and have a better soil conditioner, gain more nutrients out of the muck, of the manure, to try and help improve or maintain and improve soil quality, soil health on the farm. One of the main attractions for choosing this method over the traditional composting method is, well, the speed of the process. Supposedly within 8 weeks the muck is ready to be applied, whereas traditional composting requires at least 6 months. Also, there's the reduced fuel requirement of turning or composting the muck and increasing nutrient value from on-farm natural resources as opposed to buying bagged fertilizer.
In short, what you end up with is a far better soil conditioning product, and more importantly, or just as importantly, a far higher fertilizer value to the product that you've actually got. So when it gets applied, it does the two things of helping to improve your soil organic matter and your soil condition, but also adding additional fertilizer into the picture as well.